Okay, we're good.
Okay. We'll go ahead and stand for the. I'll call the meeting to order and the time is 5:01.
I think that's what it's 5:01.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can you just like.
Kathleen Bellis
Present.
Kevin Philly is absent. Francine Goodwin, she's coming. Maria Orozco.
Here.
Yuri Anderson.
Here.
Okay, that concludes the roll call vote. And at this time, I would like to add to the, ask the board to make one addition to the HECM agenda to add a closed session. For, I guess it would have been number 9. The request is due to a conference with legal counsel and anticipated litigation. Significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D2, and it's one case.
Do we have a motion?
So.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. What else made the motion? Commissioner Ruby. And she seconded. I can't always forget your last name. Anderson. Okay, roll call. Let's do roll call.
Oh, is it? Kathleen Bellis,
Yes.
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
And Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the roll call vote.
Okay. We're gonna go to number 3, comments from the public. Do we have anybody from the public wishing to make comments?
We have Alex Soltero. Alex, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, I would
Starting
like
now?
to make a comment too.
Yes, starting now, Alex.
Thank you. It's a repeat comment, but I'm just seeking clarification and a little transparency from the Housing Authority in terms of their requirements for service providers that are providing rapid rehousing funds for our participants. There continues to be confusion about whether or not certain expenses are allowable when a client has a housing voucher. We have in the past received verbal direction from Housing Authority staff, but nothing in writing. And so we do have some funds that are made available to our community, and we just want to make sure that they are utilized to the fullest extent possible. And we want to make sure that we're in compliance with any HUD requirements or any policies and procedures that Housing Authority may have. And so just asking for this board's support in getting that guidance in writing and posted on the website, so that way service providers can easily access those. And the items that I'm thinking of top of hand is, the ability to provide funds for habitability items such as like stoves, refrigerators, necessary furniture, rental assistance for months in which a housing voucher is not providing some portion of the rent, any assistance with security deposits, moving costs, etc. The other item I want to briefly mention is I'm hearing some chatter that housing vouchers are on pause, and hoping that the board can provide some transparency on that as well, on how long the hold will be for, maybe what the reason for the hold is, and when we as service providers can move forward with assisting our clients. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have another public comment? And I also want to note Francine Goodwin is on the call.
I'd like to make a public comment.
Yes,
All right, Steve,
Right.
you have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. I'm Steve Duran. I work at Unity Care here in Monterey County. And I've been working with former foster youth and foster youth for the past 27 years. And I'm concerned right now with our FYI vouchers not being available for our youth. We've got youth who are aging out of foster care. We've been working with vouchers for such a period of time now. I came on board to Unity Care a little over 2.5 years. And from start to finish, so far, we have successfully been able to only get 2 vouchers for our foster youth. I also have contracts in Alameda and San Francisco County where we have 50, 60 vouchers. We're constantly bringing in former foster youth and getting vouchers. So just trying to figure out what's the hold, what's the process. We've seen have a lot of turnaround at the Housing Authority, a lot of staff shortage, a lot of staff coming in and out. And so just trying to get some clarification on when will those vouchers be available again. And if the Housing Authority was going to send us some form of announcement that, hey, this is what's going on, the vouchers are on hold, here's for how long. We haven't received any information. And in the interim, we have clients who are going to be homeless in the next 2 or 3 months if they don't obtain a voucher. And so just trying to get some clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another public comment?
Yes, I would like to make a complaint.
You have 3 minutes, starting now.
Okay. Okay, my name is Richard Wallendale. It's been 8 months now and my application is still not processed. Prior to that, it was 14 years of in the waiting list. Okay, I just want to say there's no correspondence to regular US mail. Okay, no PDF, no disclosures in Yardi, emails, text system, etc. Okay, I don't know how this is acceptable. Also, these employees, okay, they do not return my calls. They don't even respond to my emails. And it's like over 20 emails and calls now. So I don't know what's going on. Also, they make these excuses that they do not know how to use Yardi. I don't know how they can have these jobs if they don't know how to use the entry-level basic user features. Okay, we're not talking about engineering stuff. We're talking about basic user features. Okay, many housing authorities, they do know how to use it. And you know what, I'm looking at the map. This one is the closest one to Silicon Valley. Okay, San Jose is not that far away, okay? So it should be easy to retain people that are high in finance and in technology. Lastly, any one of them could have used the internal legacy systems, certified, express mail, fax, manual worksheets, but didn't. To let my case stall for 8 months, it's not acceptable. Even if they are too lazy to learn Yardi, there are many supply chain backups using different channels of sub-processing. These inferior employees can do it, but did not do, and let my case go all the way to 8 months now. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comments? I see Martha.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm an advocate with HERS, and I do have a question. I wanted to find out when to report income changes. There's been conflicting information provided. The caseworker said that it's only to be provided every year. And then on the website, it says that you need to report it within 14 days. And then also I wanted to find out if somebody is interested in being a board member, how to go about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more public comments? Hearing none.
Was it unless somebody else can?
Yeah, that's all.
Did you want it? No? Okay. Okay, so we'll go to number 4 for the minutes. Approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting held on February 24th, 2025. Do you have a motion?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson made the motion and Commissioner Roscoe seconded. Roll call?
Kathleen Gillistar.
Yes.
Francine Goodwin.
Present.
Maria Roscoe.
Yes.
And Yuri Anderson.
Yes, just want to make sure the public has a chance to give comment on the motion too,
Oh, okay.
if there's anybody having questions with the minutes.
Oh, with the minutes, okay. Is there any public comment for the minutes from the last meeting?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
Can you hear me, Commissioner Goodwin?
We're
you-
commenting, we're doing the minutes.
Yeah, we were approving the minutes.
Yes,
Okay. We should put in a
sorry.
yes. It's okay. Is there any public comment on approving the minutes? Okay, I hear none. Okay, so now we'll go to the report of the committees, which is number 5. We'll start with the board reports ad hoc committee.
Commissioner Healy and I had a meeting last week with Executive Director Boykin and Keith, what is your last name? Mr. Gregory. Nice informal meeting. So to go over some proposed changes to the report, you'll see some of them reflected tonight. So we're looking at the development report.
Just louder.
And then in the future meeting with property management and the after that, the next set of reports that I think we're gonna look at are gonna be the finance reports. So we're gonna continue to try and streamline what those reports look like so that the board can get the information they need. So it was a good meeting.
Thank you. Gabriela, can you ask Commissioner Goodwin if she's able to hear us?
Ms. Goodwin, can you hear us?
Barely. Can I be excused for just a second to go grab something to help me hear better?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll give her a minute. It's the heat on her side of the peninsula. Maybe some of that fiber optic got heated or something.
Because usually she can hear really well, so.
Yeah.
She's clear.
We'll go ahead and commence so that way we could go through this. The next committee was the policy ad hoc committee and we did not meet. So that's it for number 5. We're gonna go to number 6, the report of the secretaries.
Thank you. I just want to highlight some things on here. So. I can do it that way. Okay. Let me see this part. So, just to reiterate this, in February, we came to the board meeting and as a body, we decided not to issue any more vouchers except for special purpose vouchers because of the anticipated shortfall from the program, which would have been the FYI, badge, family unification, things of that nature. However, on March the 6th, HUD, we had a phone call. They went over our budget and because of a shortfall that is predicted to happen around September, we were mandated by HUD to not issue any more vouchers except badge, and vouchers that were already looking on the street. So if somebody already had one and they were searching, we could let them do that one, not continue to provide extensions, but if they brought that back before their extension expired, we could honor that voucher. And the only other ones was if somebody wanted to port, but the port had to be either absorbed by the other agency or it could not be higher than what they were already paying here in Monterey. So after we found out, I told the staff and I informed a lot of our partners in the community of what happened, especially the ones that send us referrals like the foster youth and the other programs. That we cannot do it. We cannot go against the HUD mandate because it'll jeopardize our budget authority for the entirety of the program. So to secure the, approximately 4,600 people that we have to follow this. And we have to watch the budget and make sure that we adhere to all the conditions that they gave us. Because that way, if we do go in the shortfall, they'll be more likely to have us maybe expedite on the list because we call it out of the records as opposed to violating them or putting out, putting all of the things. So we didn't. And the local news or anything like that, but all of the community partners have been informed and in great detail of how it works. And we, at that time, we're at 4,600. We got 5,117 vouchers. And the last vouchers that were issued were in September 2020. So those vouchers are expired. All of this money, and then it's a couple of this trickling into like April. Additional extension. So I was searching out, they had their voucher, they were searching for over 6 months. So, like 120 days at first. So if they get extension. At this point, since it's already over 6 months, and it's over the hood, and we can issue new vouchers or do extensions, anyone that had a voucher. It's not a place to stay. Extending voucher, but they can remain, depending on circumstances. It's not something that kind of to care. Even though we had almost exhausted, our education. It's kind of since then, take that particular pain statements to the resolution.
We can't hear you guys. It's very gargle like. We have no sound.
I agree.
Anything else?
I'm sorry. It's still kind of gargly to me, but um, I went and grabbed my hearing aids, which I
How
usually wear.
about
It sounds a little bit better.
Okay, well, I'm sitting right next to the,
Now I can hear you.
okay. All right, well, I'll just sit here for a second. I'm going over the executive director report and I was talking about the vouchers. I'm just gonna do a little recap. So what I was saying is that the agency in February decided not to issue any vouchers except for special purpose vouchers because of the budget. Then
Right.
in March, on March the 6th, HUD gave us a mandate that we could not issue any vouchers except for VASH, previously existing PBVs, that means no new PBV contracts. And we could continue to assist the clients that were out searching at that time. However, this does affect their ability to continue to get extensions. And we were looking at the rent reasonable on all of the units. If someone who's existing wanted to port, they could port if the voucher was going to be absorbed. If not, then they have to get something of equal or lesser value that they have here in Monterey, so that we can keep our budget authority at the same level that it was last year, because we projected to go into a shortfall. We did not make a public announcement in a newspaper or anything like that. However, we have informed all of our partners through various emails and meetings to let them know how this was working at the Housing Authority moving forward. And actually, it might seem like it's very impactful, but it's really not, because of all the work we did to get our voucher utilization up. We are at 4,600 out of 5,117. And all of the ones that were on the street were vouchers that were issued last year in September. And so all of those participants have had over 6 months to find somewhere to stay using those vouchers. And we are still honoring any extensions that we currently have. We will not issue any more vouchers until the mandate is lifted by HUD, because we cannot jeopardize all of the persons that are on the program by violating the corrective action plan that they put in place for us to make sure that our budget authority stays intact. And then just a side note, I was saying that every month our help is almost $8 million a month for the 4,600 people we have paying the landlords that's currently on the list. So the best thing that anybody can do if they have a question is attend the community and partnership meetings that we've been having, or send in an email, because a lot of this is case by case. But that's with existing vouchers, because again, we are not issuing any new vouchers except for VASH. And whenever that changes, we'll let the public know and we'll go back to our waiting list. Let's see. Other things that we have going on. We're working on several developments. They're in the works. We're getting to the final stages on that, so I have some updates on that for later. Property management has improved rent collection, and they're trying to stabilize operations at all of the properties. The finance department is doing a good job working on the audits and completing them. The one that's still open and preparing for this year end. Let's see. Pacific Meadows, we were supposed to take over on April the 1st, but we're waiting on some forms from HUD. And so it'll probably be sometime later in April before we can finish everything, because we're waiting on the HUD office. But it's still looking good. Everything is still on track. And let's see. Other than that, on March the 11th, I did give a presentation at the supervisors meeting to kind of recap the last 2 years up to December 31st, 2024 of activities here at the Housing Authority. So they would know all of the things we've been working on, what we've implemented, the progress that we made. It was very well received, and the majority of the board members were able to attend to also show support for the presentation. So it went very well. And that's basically it for the executive director report.
Does anybody have any questions for Zalika or comments?
I do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I don't even know how to word this, except for just to come out and ask the question. With all the insanity that's going on in Washington, DC, is this going to affect our vouchers?
Come out what the administration they doing now, Ms. Francine?
Yes.
Well, that's one reason we got the mandate
Okay.
to stop issuing them. They're trying to promote efficiency and control spending. And so the resolution for the government shutdown that they had on March 14th, it also impacts us as a housing authority, which they did pass the resolution or put some type of extension in place. And so while they're doing these cutbacks, everybody's trying to at least maintain the number of vouchers and affordable units that they currently have and not exceed their budget too much with new housing, so that they can try to prevent a shortfall. Last year, the housing authorities went into shortfall, and for the first time, HUD did 2 recaptures. So a lot of agencies got money took last year. We was one of them. If we had that money, we wouldn't be worried about going into a shortfall this year, but it was agencies last year that they needed that. And when I say they took the money, it's not money that we had in our possession. It's just them reworking our budget all the time. So we didn't lose money, but they just constantly were like revising the budget to see where they can pull money to help other housing authorities. And so this year, with the increased utilization, the amount of rent that it is here in Monterey, again, we spend about $8 million a month in HAP payments. Ooh. And so what they're trying to do is work with us early so that we don't go into shortfall, or if we do, it's a minimal amount. That way it won't jeopardize the existing voucher holders that's on the program. Because what we don't want to do is violate the mandate that they gave us and continue business as usual, and then we end up being short, $20-30 million and have to take people off of the program. So all of these efforts are to maintain the current voucher holders and keep the existing PBVs in place.
Okay. Because there's a lot of people in my building that are concerned.
No, anyone that have something now, the best advice, I can't tell nobody to do this, but my just advice as a regular person, if you are in an affordable housing unit or you have a voucher, you need to stay in place.
Okay.
Until everything get resolved.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that it does soon.
Yeah, that's not anything me saying as the executive director telling people to do that, because we're not allowed to do that, but just as advice. Because if you have to start making other cuts and things of that nature, you want to be somebody who is seen as stable and who have maintained a certain level in the program.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you. So I had one question from reading the report. I just wanted some clarity on that you may have spoken to, but in the HCV department, you made a note about our payment standards and you've requested you using them and kind of waiting that might change. So I was just wondering if you could talk.
I talked to our HUD rep about a week ago. So the FMRs come out every year in October. You have 90 days to continue using your current payment standard. So by January, you have to make some type of adjustment, even if it's nothing but keeping the same ones because they fall into the parameter. So you can go up to 110% and you're fine. You don't need any permissions from HUD. For the last couple of years, we've been going up to 120%, which means we have to send in a waiver, and they send the waiver back saying it's approved. And then that way, when they look at our payment standards, one, we get all our CMAP points, so our agency don't get in trouble for that. And then two, that lets us pay more in certain areas. When we're trying to get people to move to, Pacific Grove and stuff like that, we can pay higher rents because the payment standard is higher. Now, one misconception everybody have, they think the payment standard is the rent. The payment standard is not the rent, it's a goal. So you can ask for up to that much, but then the rent reasonable is what determine how much the rent gonna be, because they look at your unit, the amenities and things of that nature. So I sent in for the waiver, but I hadn't heard a response back. So that's why I'm saying we might have to do something with the payment standards, because I didn't want us to lose our CMAP points for being over. I did a streamlined application last year, like in December, and normally HUD send the housing authority a letter saying that it's approved. But since it was streamlined, they just sent it to the HUD field office that regulates this housing authority, letting them know it was approved. But with all the changes, they just forgot to tell us. So when I talked to them, we are approved, we in good standing, and then they sent the approval. So the payment standards are fine for now. Now, with the budget authority being in question, depending on how that comes down the pipe, at some point, we might have to lower payment standards. If we do, it'll be specifically from a HUD waiver or a HUD mandate, and they'll tell us exactly how they want us to do it. Other than that, the agency will not be looking at payment standards until October, when the new FMRs come out.
And so that kind of connected to my next question, trying to understand our voucher allocation
Mm-hmm,
versus what we've actually got on the street
mm-hmm.
and how we've thus exceeded our payment standards. So,
No, we can't never exceed the payment standards.
well.
If we hadn't got the waiver. Mm-hmm.
So when we've gone into shortfall. So I'm not clear on how they can say, you have 5171 vouchers,
Mm-hmm.
but you're spending more than you're allowed. Is this because we have a higher standard that we're allowed to pay? Is that where that gap comes from? Because it would presume, and this is.
Well, no, the way.
We have 5100. I would
Okay,
assume
so-
we have enough money to pay for that.
We got 5,117 vouchers. We got about 5 special purpose vouchers. So some of them have their own money that's attached to them. That's why VASH can keep going.
That's separate than the 551 or something.
It's included, but it have a different funding stream, so
Okay.
that's why they can still issue vouchers. So HUD gives us that, you had this allocation for years, I don't know when they first did this, but just to say they did in 2008 or something. So this was your allocation. This housing authority has never went any higher than 3,000. I think right before I got here, it was like 3,200. So even though you had 5,000, you never went any higher than 3,200. So every year you got enough money for 3,200, because they don't give you the budget based on how many vouchers you can use. They give you the budget based on how many vouchers you actually have used. That's why you hear us all saying, the utilization. What's the utilization? What's the utilization? So when I came in, one of the things from the field office to keep the agency from being in trouble was to get utilization up. And so we've been working really hard to get utilization up, which we did, and we did a great job, because we went from like 3,200 to 4,600.
Right.
However, this is a high rental market. And once the payment standards were increased, all the landlords went up on their rents pretty much, trying to reach that payment standard, which I've never seen a unit reach it. That's just, like the goal, like I said. But so what that did, for the last 10 years, you've been spending enough money for 3,200. So then the first year you go to 4,000 or something, they just gave you enough money for the 3,200. So they had to give us some more money. Then the next year, now we up to 4,600. So they need to give us some more money for whatever that difference is. And it could be like $15 million or something, because our per unit cost went from 1,400 to almost 1,900 a unit. And so when they do the 1,900 for each one of those units, they saying, hey, you might be like $15 million short, because we can't just give you the money, even though we told you to increase voucher usage, because we don't know how much money is going to be in the Section 8 program, how much every housing authority going to get, how the shortfall is going to look, because last year, it's a shortfall for somebody every year. But last year, I think there was $600 million short for the whole United States. And that's why they did 2 cuts, because they do one recapture. One offset. They normally don't do 2, but last year they did 2. So like LA Housing Authority, they took $38 million from them. to off their budget. I don't want to say it like they took their money, rearranged their budget so that other housing authorities could use it. Same thing they did to us. And so we were utilizing them based on that additional money that we had, but once they reallocated it to other housing authorities, now we're short that amount of money, plus the increase that they were not expecting. And so that's why they said we cannot issue anymore. And so it's really important for us to maintain the people that are housed. I think that should be our first priority. Again, we only 500 short from being at 100%. I think that's great for like the last 2 years and with the community. And it's also a good timing because we just had this big push back in September. We didn't give out any more vouchers since then. So all of those people have already had 6 months to find somewhere to stay. Some of them still got another extension or two that they working on. We're not going to rescind it until the extension expires. Because if that extension expires, we can't get them another extension to search because one, we're supposed to be giving out vouchers anyway. And two, that still make our budget authority keep going up and down where we won't know where it's at. So the best thing for us to do is to clear up the ones that are on, work, searching on the street, which we did. We got that down to 180 people looking. Find out how much they're gonna end up paying rent for, so we can say every month our half is gonna be, $7 million. Instead of it just keep adjusting back and forth. Because if we violate the mandate, and this is important, and I think people need to understand that if we violate this mandate that was given to us on the 6th, and we issue vouchers anyway, and our per unit costs go up, and our HAP expense goes up, and we go into shortfall earlier than anticipated. Right now, we have enough money where it doesn't seem like we're going to be impacted until maybe September. September is enough time for us to come up with plans B, C, D, and E to protect the current people. But if we disregard this and we give out vouchers anyway, or we allow the cost to go up, and I'm not trying to scare nobody, and I hope this don't just cause no big confusion, but HUD can tell you to terminate people that are on the program to make your costs come down. And we don't want to do that. And so that's why we really working hard to get the budget solidified so we can say every month if it stay 8 million, but we know every month is $8 million. So we can plan, they can plan, and so all of our people can be protected. So that's why we taking it so serious. And we probably gonna have a lot of comments and some complaints because people are not really understanding. But we got to do what's best for the 4,600 existing families. And so we can't, break any of those rules or mandates for anybody, regardless of what the situation is.
2 more questions, that's okay. Okay, I'll say them both.
Okay.
One, you talked about, HUD rescinding the mandate. Are there any criteria out there, or have they articulated what it would be that, they would say, okay, here's when we're gonna rescind it, or is it just kind of like?
They just watching all of the house, because we're not the only one. They talking to all the housing authorities. If you notice, like LA put a thing in the paper, said they ain't giving out no more vouchers. One over here, I think it might have been Fresno or somebody said they not giving out any. So everybody kind of at a standstill because the shortfall is not done by county or state, it's done throughout the United States. So even if every housing authority in California had money, it wouldn't matter if Alabama or New York don't have none, because they pull on that type of level for the whole United States, not just any region. So everybody's just kind of at a standstill trying to maintain what they have.
Right, and then my second question, so we had a couple of comments from staff at different agencies saying, hey, you haven't told us what's going on. Your report says.
We have told them. I sent.
So like, what level are you communicating with, and how are we expecting?
Steve, who was on the public comment, I ain't trying to throw no shade on him or nothing like that, but I talked to him through email directly because Edith told him. They just in disbelief about it and feel like it's a workaround, and it's not. And with the FYI program, we've been trying to get people to lease that up for over the last 2 years. We have the housing authority. We're up to 16 people in FYI now. So it's not like it's a big waiting list or it's been a push or they just constantly giving us people. We've been begging for people trying to get this did for the last 2 years. And y'all know it took us a year to get to 7, and then it took us 2 years to get to 16. And it was at no fault of the staff here. They were doing everything that they were supposed to do because it's a referral program. And so now that we got the 16, they want to keep going kind of at that pace and house people, but we can't because we can't give them the vouchers. So, you know, it's not that we want to displace nobody. I hope nobody don't end up homeless or nothing, but I really wonder like where were all these people for the last 2 years when we've been begging for people to take these spots? And then with the rapid rehousing, we have meetings with all them and let them know. And we go on the coalition leadership council meeting and tell them a lot of people know what's going on and a lot of emails been answered. It's just not something that you want to hear. And so they looking for a workaround. I don't blame them, but you know, it's nothing that we can do.
Maria, did you have any?
No, I kind of had the same concerns as Yuri that you've already addressed.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I just want to say a comment to the presentation. I know that Yuri was there at the supervisors meeting. I stayed with Delika and she presented. And I just want to tell her thank you because she did a great job in the presentation. All the information she provided to the Monterey County Board of Supervisors, they took it all in. They like, you know, the turnaround that under the direction of Zulika Boykin, you know, her pulling this ship, the housing authority of the county of Monterey, she pulled us out, you know, where there's people in our community that would not have what we see right now, you know, especially because of that event that we had at Sherwood Hall and those people receiving vouchers. And I was there, I know Yuri attended, and so they were the Board of Supervisors were so ecstatic. They enjoyed her presentation. And I just wanna, you know, compliment Zulika and the staff because she couldn't have done it alone, but her staff, them working under her and with her, you know, this was the outcome. They enjoyed her presentation. And I was honored to be there by her side. I didn't speak because I was getting over a nasty cough, so it was just better for me to wave. And one of the supervisors, which is the one that appointed me, Supervisor Luis Alejo, he came up afterwards and he personally thanked Zulika and, you know, the great job that she has done. And all the supervisors complimented her, and I even told Zulika, you need to notify the Monterey Herald and the Weekly, because they said that this is some news that should be out there to the public. Of course, you know, you are gonna have people, they're gonna have something to say negatively, but just what she received from the Monterey County Board of Supervisors that were there, it was so ecstatic, and I was very proud to just be there to hear their comments. So thank you, Zulika, and to your staff.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Kathleen, and everybody who came and the ones who won now, but I know you still was supportive. And it was just a group effort. You know, it take the whole agency to do these things. We've made a lot of accomplishments. We still got some ways to go, but I think we're in a much better position now. And even like with the vouchers, with all the pushing, had we not done that, just imagine where we'd be at now, because we probably still would not have been able to issue any, but maybe an additional 2,000 families or so won't have nowhere to stay. So I'd like to thank the board for being supportive and all our little out-the-box ideas to get them on the street. And again, just thank the staff because we've been working well and trying to get this done. And I think now is a good time to look back on it and see the successes and also the barriers of all of the changes so that we can continue to move forward.
Thank you. Okay, so no more questions for Zulika? Okay, so we'll move to number 7, which is new business. Resolution 3133, PHA certification of compliance with the 2025 agency annual plan and related regulations.
This is the annual plan that we do every year, plus the 5-year plan. You received a draft at the last meeting. And so what it does, it tells exactly where we're at and what we plan to do moving forward. So like the developments are mentioned in there. It's mentioned in there about us maintaining the vouchers at the utilization that we at and other little improvements that we were trying to do. So that we sent it out because you have to get certifications back from certain people in the county. All of them have not came back yet, but that's normal. It's happened last year too. So Lucilla working on getting the last one, but it's no more changes to the plan as long as the board approves it as it is, so that we can submit it on time to the HUD field office.
Okay.
Hmm.
So do I have a motion, or does anybody have any questions?
Question, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
So of the different meetings that we had, the resident advisory public hearing, were there any comments that caused any changes from what we received in our draft or anything from any of the partners?
No, it actually was less people this time than it has been the last 2 years, and they just wanted clarification. It was no real questions to change anything, maybe a couple of questions on something, but that was it.
And just clarify what you said before, so one group that is required to.
The county,
respond to this, The
mhm.
county has not responded.
Yeah, I don't think the county is the one that, I think they're the one that hasn't responded. I believe all the other certifications are back.
And we're required to get that certification.
Mhm. Yeah, every year we have to get it. And it was slow last year. I think they were kind of maybe deciding who's gonna do it, because it seemed like maybe the person did it before, retired or something. So they're trying to figure out like who responsibility that is moving forward. But Lucilla was able to get it last year and she'll get it this year. She sent out a reminder email. And once we get that, we send that in with the resolution to show HUD that it's been approved. And if they have questions, they'll let us know if they want to change something.
Commissioner Goodwin, do you have any questions or comments regarding the resolution 3133?
Ms. Francine?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Forgive me.
oh, you're fine.
I'm on an antibiotic and it's sending me to the moon and back. I'm sorry.
So do I have a motion on the floor for the resolution?
I move we approve resolution 3133.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. So Commissioner Orozco made the motion and second by Commissioner Goodwin. Roll call, please.
Kathleen Bellastars.
Yes.
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Yuri Anderson.
Yes.
And Francine Goodwin.
Yes.
Okay, conclude the roll.
Now to 7B, resolution 3134. Resolution approving the 25 through 2027 fiscal year operation and maintenance contract between the state of California, Department of Housing and Community Development, and the Housing Authority of the County of Monterey for King City Migrant Center.
This is another resolution. This is an annual event. We have to do a budget every year, work with the OMS office for King City Migrant Center, because they pay for the services out there. So we always approve it before it's finalized, because they give us an up to point. So this year is cannot exceed $1,555,862, but we have a draft budget in with them now. That's almost at the final stages of being reviewed. Once it's reviewed, we'll actually get letters from them approving it, and we'll be able to enter it and start using it for the upcoming fiscal year. And so that is what this resolution is for, to approve it up to that amount. If something happened and we had to change the amount, then we would come back to the board with an adjustment and let you know why. But this is based on what we spent last year, and then I think like a 5 or 10% increase, something like that. And so, and any special items that we asked for. So this is something we'll do every year around the same time to make sure that the funds are there for when the people start staying there and we start utilizing the site. And it's King City Migrant Center.
Any questions? For, no. So do I have a motion to approve resolution 3134?
So moved.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. So motion made by Commissioner Goodwin, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Roll call, please.
Kathleen Bellastars.
Yes.
Maria Orozco.
Yes.
Yuri Anderson.
Yeah.
And Francine Goodwin.
Yes.
Now we will go to information. Does anybody have any questions for the reports or?
For any of them?
Well, you want to just go in order of the reports? Cause I think last time we kind of did all of them at one time and it seemed like it got a little confusing.
Okay, let's start with the, with 8A.
Yeah,
Maybe human resource report. Anybody have questions for James?
I have a question, but I just appreciated the department specific risk and targeted solutions. I really did appreciate
Yeah.
like how you said, okay, here's the problem and here's what we're doing to address it in our plans.
Well, I mean, I think earlier last year too, that kind of like isolating what exactly is contributing to these injuries.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to.
You know, good one? Do you have
Yes.
anything for the human resource report? Any questions?
No,
No, just congratulate Elizabeth Gonzalez. Her hard work and many years of service.
Yes. I also want to give congratulations to Elizabeth Gonzalez. I actually got to meet her the other day and I got to thank her in person and, I think it's, wonderful to recognize an employee that makes an effort and they go beyond and they're efficient. And they're actually like a role model for the other staff. You can influence, if you're a good employee, you can influence your, your peers to be an efficient worker. So I just wanna, tell her thank you again to Elizabeth Gonzalez. And thank you, James, for the report.
Very good report, easy to read.
Okay, we'll go to B, finance report, and that's it. Is there any questions that anybody has for the finance report? Very good.
No.
Commissioner Goodwin, do you have a question?
no.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for being on time with the agency audits. I noticed that on your reports. Thank you. Okay, so now we'll go to 8C, property management report. Does anybody have any questions on that report?
I did.
Okay.
Okay, so on the rent collection, I'm still trying to understand how we exceed 100% collection of any property.
you want to explain or you want me to explain it?
It's your choice, man.
Look at your report. This always funny to me because I had told Miss Kathleen because when I first started being executive director and I got a report from property management, it was like 110 and 115. My mind went like that's impossible. It can't be 100%. So I had to really go and break down why it was like that. So it's always just funny to me when people ask because if somebody's over 100%, that means that they not collecting all the rent they should because the arrearage is in that. So if February they had $10,000 outstanding and then March they billed, $50,000. And let's say in March they collected $40,000, but 10 of it was from February, then they percentage, let's say they collected 60. So that means they had some late rent that came in and they kind of skewed the numbers. So one of the things that we'll look at when we look at this report is a line or a column rather to identify the aggregate, like what was the past due balance that's included in this. So then you can see what they actually collect. Because what I want to know is how much you collected of that month rent. If you had 30,000, did you get 30,000? Not you went back and got 30,000 from December, January, February, March, and April.
So like on cash FLC, we might anticipate that next month it's gonna be over 100% because you're collecting the back rents.
Mhm.
You're 87. Okay. Anything else you want to?
No, I would just, I kind of understood it. That was like, kind of always looks that way. You're like, oh, that's great. We collected 104%, but either we robbed somebody or did something like that. So,
Or someone's like, I just have the money right
Right.
now, so like.
no, but yeah, the reality is that we have had, if you remember in some of the older reports, there was the watch list and some of those other items. That's those items being collected, if that's reflected.
Okay, and in situations like Oak Grove, where we're at 122% this month, like, are those actual rents from individuals? Is that money coming in late from voucher programs? And like, what kind of strategies are in place to help people be able to pay their rent on time, so they aren't having to have this kind of like, I'm coming up with extra cash and trying to make up a hole, and I'm fearful that I'm gonna be evicted because I haven't paid all of my rent and, you know, that kind of stuff.
So to the best of our ability, we try to work with people when they come, if they alert us to the fact that they may have an issue. So we, you know, the property manager's responsibility is to know the tenants and kind of get familiar with their situations. We don't have a late payment issue with Section 8, obviously they're down the hall, so that's really not the issue. It's really when tenants fall behind and they don't alert us. So we end up with these situations where the arrearages tend to grow. If a tenant comes to us and says, hey, you know, I know that I'm gonna be short, I can have it on the 15th, or I might have it next month, we can do repayment plans. There are some other options that we can present to tenants who give us that information up front. We just, it's really important, and that's on us for the more, I won't say it's on 50-50 us and the tenant. Obviously, the tenant has the responsibility to pay, but we as a property manager have a responsibility to have that level of communication with the residents to make sure that they feel comfortable telling us, hey, I know that my paycheck, I took some time off, I was sick, or whatever, I'm not gonna have as much money, I'm gonna be late. That way we can kind of work with them to kind of address some of these issues.
And then my other question is on the wait list report. I don't know if I've just never noticed it before, but the wait list report was a new column, at least in my brain.
It is new, yes.
And I appreciated the note about like, what is the goal? But then when I look at, you know, Gonzalez family rad, and we're 977% of the goal. Like, what do we do with that information? How are we using it to advocate for developments? Like, how are we helping these people actually find the housing that they need? Or are they just waiting for a particular property?
So, yeah, so each property has its own wait list, so families can determine which site is best for them. So in the scenario, what we're seeing is there is a larger demand in Gonzalez than we actually have units for, which then informs our development decisions. So as we're planning out the next 5 years of development, we know we really do need another couple hundred units, if not more than that, in that area. And it may be, you know, the site also, some of these waiting lists have been open for a while. And what we probably really need to go through when we see a number that large is really take a look at that waiting list to make sure that all of those families still need that site or still want to be, they're still looking for housing, or they're still looking for housing at that particular site. They may have been housed elsewhere in our portfolio or outside of that. So there are kind of two things. One, it does inform our development activity, but then two, it's kind of a sign for us to really scrub the list and make sure that everybody who we say is on this list actually still needs housing on the site.
Okay. So are there plans to scrub the list and kind of
We're gonna purge it.
reality looks like?
They gonna purge the list.
Yes,
You're gonna purge them?
yes.
You're just gonna,
We never.
No, that's
no,
the
what we-
scrubbing.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the terminology,
I was
sorry.
gonna be like, you're gonna do what?
No, it sounds really bad. Let's just-
Look at the list and determine.
Yes,
Yeah. I know she thought we finna do the purge. No, when
Because I just see people being like, I've been on the wait list and now you're just telling me I'm like.
no, when they
Going off.
purge the waiting list, they send all the people a letter who on there and ask them, do they still wanna be on there, or if they found housing or whatever, and then based on their responses, then they file get updated on the wait list.
Okay.
That's what we call purging.
But then there's that whole situation of I'm mailing it to the address that I had on file when I was on a wait list and I don't get the letter, like you have.
It's different rules for different properties. So it depends on what property it is, how long they have to update, cause that's their responsibility to update their information with us. So that we have the correct addresses and stuff like that.
Cause this, I mean, I think this is really important information. This is the kind of information that we're always asked as commissioners, like how many people are on the waiting list? And we're talking about almost 11,000 people. Or not even people, right? Like that's one
Families.
person,
It's
so
families,
families,
yeah.
and so it could be times 4 or whatever factor we use. But I'm glad to hear that it's informing development thoughts. Okay.
And then also, I just have a quick question. So during the recertification process, that you also see families who perhaps, you know, have been in this housing unit for many, many years and kids have
Right.
moved out and have gone off to college or whatever the case may be. So it's just mom and dad in a 3-bedroom. At that recertification process, is that where you kind of look for perhaps a smaller unit for some of these families, or?
That is one point in time we can do that. You know, again, regular communication is really critical on the property management side. If we're constantly in communication with the family, and we kind of know their unit needs, we can weigh that against what the other units of the property. We try not to force anybody to, move, but we do try to maintain our occupancy standards to keep people within the right size unit in there.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Goodwin, do you have any questions?
Ms. Francine, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Or I have one more.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna channel former Commissioner Booter. And let him know we're still looking at those work order timeline turnaround. So can you talk to me about what's going on at One Parkside? Like, we had 26 work orders, the average time to complete was 11 days, like, or what's happening there?
So recently, we've run into just a delivery logjams. Really is part of it is just we have to kind of push through the work orders. We've got our staff are a little spread thin. But secondly, it really just comes down to a materials issue. And we run into several issues where we order things, and some of those, if you remember during the pandemic, there were things you just couldn't get. Some of that hasn't gone away.
Right.
And so the reality of some of the situations is we ordered parts, we're waiting for them to get delivered. We get delivered, then we got to get them installed. If you notice, there's another site with a lot of emergencies, so people got pulled off. So it was a combination of just kind of the amount of work we were doing and then some of the logjams, some of the things we had ordered getting delivered.
Everybody just let Hans know.
There you go.
He's still here in spirit.
Okay, so we'll move on to development report. And that is, sorry, 8D. Anybody have any questions or comments? Can you ask Commissioner Goodwin, because I don't think she's
Oh.
here.
Ms. Francine, you got any questions about the development report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, wait a minute, where Hans spirit at? Ain't nobody know, cause he was.
Good overview of this report in the committee meeting, so.
Okay, so I can see no questions for you this day. Do you have a question? No. Okay. We'll go to AE Housing Programs Report.
And that's the vouchers that we've been talking about, the whole time, but if y'all got a question. Only thing I like to note is if you look on the page, the second page where it have the HCV Annual Budget Authority and it show you how much money we had coming in and how much we spent. You will see that the monthly HAP difference for January and February, both of those were negative. But we still have money in HUD reserve, so we talked to them, put in a request, and that's why it's highlighted at the bottom that in the month of March, they was gonna send us $4 million to upfront some money and cover this shortage. And so we really keeping an eye on it every month. But this just more show you why we need to watch the program, because we already running a little short in January. We're not in a shortfall, but because of all the new lease ups and stuff, we ran a little short, but we still using the money that we have in the budget.
Have any questions? Commissioner Goodwin?
Ms. Francine, you have any questions for the Section 8 report, the housing programs?
No, thanks.
Okay, now we're gonna go to, I believe, properties by program.
That's the information.
Is that information?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And then, the next one was the property spotlight, which is GHG.
Did we do Chula last time? Castroville? Oh, okay. Man, I thought I know what it is. I looked at this with year because I'm going, this looking kind of the same, but all right. Yep, and that's just an informational item, and we're gonna continue to do that so everybody know, how these properties are financed, what type of regulatory agreements and stuff on things like that, just to kind of help everybody understand how they run better and to have the information in one area that you could easily get to.
Do we want to do the commissioner comments before we go into closed session?
Well, we still gotta
You
go.
have something? Yeah, before we go there, I just wanna briefly mention the Chular housing project. When I did first time home buyer program with the city of Salinas, we did it by lottery, and one of one of the families that lived in this project was on the housing, was
Oh.
living in the Housing Authority project. She was selected, and it was mom, dad, and three children, so they were able to move and buy their home, their first time home. Kids all were able to go to college. They moved, and eventually bought a second home and moved to Gonzales, down the street from where I live. It just, I didn't even recognize her, you know, you work with so many families, but she recognized me, so. It was a good way to see that process, you know, where they were able to get some assistance and they were able to move and be able to get their own homes, so. You know.
I'm saying, like, sorry, so this is one of the things that we asked for at our retreat, like 2 years ago now almost, and I just want to appreciate you guys for continuing to do this. I think the way, like, we've really worked through what information should be on here, and it's really helpful, like, in terms of having a profile for the properties. So even though may not have a lot of comments, it's like, okay, like, this is exactly what we asked for, all of this information in one place, so we can understand what is this property, how is it financed, who lives there, who's eligible. So thank you for continuing to do that, and I'm excited about, like, the online database, like.
I know.
Like, the access point for these things, so they don't just live in our board packet.
Okay. Ms. Francine, if you want to do it.
Has any comment?
Ms. Francine, did you have any comments?
No, thank you.
These are the commissioner comments because we're gonna do them so that we can go into the closed session. And that way, when the staff can leave if you want to, because the only other thing will be the agenda for WISH, which is our new entity. And that's not gonna take long, but it'll be after the closed session that meeting starts. But everybody can leave, you know, except for you, Gabby, if you want to after the commissioner comments.
You know how long? Commissioner Goodwin?
Might take.
I don't think it's gonna be that long, maybe 15.
I just want to thank everybody for all their hard work they've done this past months, especially with the new administration moving things around and confusing things. Zalika, you're doing a wonderful job, and I'm so glad you're in place where you are.
You're so sweet.
Thank you.
I have none other than just thank you for the report, very good, and thank you, Sulika, for the report on the vouchers.
The only thing I want to say is just let us know where we could set up for the word,
The retreat.
yes.
I think we're gonna probably try to do something in June because of everybody's calendar. So it seems like June might be the best time to do something.
Okay, so now the time is 6:10? That's what I said, or 6:12?
6:12.
6:12, we'll be going into closed session. So,
Thank you.
Ready? Okay. So we're opening up the public meeting. The time is 6:35. Yeah, and then, coming out of closed session, there's nothing to report. And we will now go into adjourn the meeting, and the time is 6:37. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
So now we'll start the meeting for WISH in Monterey County.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting for WISH Monterey County Board of Directors for Monday, March 24th, 2025. We are meeting here at the Housing Authority office at 123 Rico Street, Salinas. Roll call, please.
Okay, so for the meeting today, for WISH, this is our first official meeting. Okay, took us a long time to get this going. WISH Monterey County is our CHODO. So it's an entity that's created by the Housing Authority to assist with things in this community. So they have jurisdiction in Monterey County. We can extend, but right now we really focus in Monterey County to assist with getting funding for development and other things of that nature.
We named it Wish after talking with the Board of Commissioners, because we wanted to do something a little lighter. And then also hopefully something that was hopeful, because maybe one day we can merge in home ownership initiatives under this CHOTO. We having a meeting today so that we can solidify the directors for this CHOTO. And then you guys can make nominations for the various positions. So the resolution has the directors as Kathleen Ballesteros, Francine Goodwin, Maria Orozco, Yuri Anderson, and Kevin Healy. Kathleen, Francine, and Maria were nominated to be directors at the last HECM meeting that initiated this one, but you would need to do a motion and approve it to add Yuri and Kevin Healy as the HECM required board members.
So is there a motion to add Yuri and?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's been made by, Ms. Ballesteros and also by Ms. Goodwin.
Okay, and so the roll call for that will be Ms. Orozco,
Yes.
Ms. Francine,
Yes,
and Ms. Kathleen.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first motion. So now Yuri and Kevin Healy are the official HECM board members. After we fill our 2 vacant seats on the HECM board, then we can add additional persons as needed to the WISH Board of Directors. Now, the second part of this resolution, we have the following positions. Let's see. Yeah, the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. Officers. So right now, the only position that you really need to do for the appointment of the officers is the president. I was looking at this because I was thinking at first they had this for like who's the chair and the co-chair. So you need to decide who's the chair and the co-chair. I think we had decided Ms. Maria was gonna be the chair in the HECM meeting. In the HECM meeting, did we also say who was the co-chair?
I thought it was Francine. No, I can't remember.
I thought it was Kevin.
Oh, was it Kevin?
Oh, no.
We can refer back to, it could have been Mr. Healy because he wasn't on the board at that time. But, okay, since we know Ms. Orozco is the chair, would the board like to make a motion to nominate or accept a nomination rather for a vice chair?
I don't know if we can actually do that based on what's posted on the agenda.
That's what's on the agenda, appoint board members to WISH Monterey County.
Board
Oh, so the
versus,
nominations.
versus
Oh, okay, okay.
elect officers and everything.
Oh, yeah, when I saw the officers, that's for something else. I looked at that, I was thinking about you, but that's really more like me and the staff. So that's why I skipped and came back. Because we just need to take care of who's on the board and who's gonna be chair or co-chair or something like that.
So would we have to wait till the next board meeting to list, to word it on the agenda, or we can do that?
Well, you appointed the board member, so we can wait till the April meeting for the nominations, and then at that time, we can also appoint officers.
Yeah, that'll be good too, so we can see if we already did a vice chair, 'cause I feel like
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't, I'm not sure.
Okay, we will do that at our next meeting.
Okay, and really, that's it. We just need to do that.
Any director comments?
No comments?
Francine, any comments? Director comments?
no.
Okay. We will go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 6:39. So
Okay.
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Ready? Bye, Francine.
Okay.
Is this take the place of?
No, it's it'll be in conjunction with it. We'll have both of them. Cause that's a development arm and this one a CHOTO, so they kind of a little different.